What's going on, guys? Working again on my 2003 Chevrolet 1500 HD Silverado. Trying to fix a few more things on it. The shocks on it appear to be the original ones, so picked up a set of the Bilstein 5100s. I've had good luck with those on four-wheel drive Chevys in the past. There's a link below to the Amazon store. I have those on there. They are significantly cheaper through Amazon and eBay and other places than they are through auto parts stores. Really good shocks. I'm happy with them. So we're getting started here on the rears. I was hoping to use my impact, but it wouldn't reach on some of the bolt locations, so had to make do with my ratcheting wrench. So moving on, I've not put the front shocks on yet. I went ahead and measured the height, and we're at 37 or so in the front and 39 in the rear, so about 2 inches of rake, which is pretty standard on most modern pickups. And this is a torsion bar front end, so I went ahead and cranked the torsion bars. I did it in half turns. I did 2 full turns in the video and measured it, and I drove it in and out of the shop and let it settle a little bit, and it didn't give me very much, so I gave it 2 more turns per side, and we end up with a nice even 38.25 up front and 39s in the rear. And I think it's a good height. I didn't want to go too much higher because later when I'm putting on the front shocks, I jacked up the truck and it only had about 1 inch of droop after the cranking we did, so there's really not that much more left on it. But I was really surprised. Most of these trucks I've had, the half tons, the driver's side torsion bars usually cranked a whole lot more. They call it the Chevy lean. It's not just on torsion bar trucks, it's usually on coil trucks too. But this truck had the same amount of bolt left on both sides of the torsion bar. It's in really good shape. I was really surprised with how clean the underside is. You can still see the body color on the floorboards, and yeah, it's just in impeccable shape for 235,000 miles. So moving on to the front shocks, same story up here. They're in pretty sad shape. I'm really glad at this point I bought the ratcheting wrenches. They really help speed this up. It's not that fun to do. You think they would have some kind of tool for this that would hold the post and unscrew the bolt at the same time, but apparently no such animal exists yet. So that was the end of that night. The GoPro did die, so I didn't get all of the front shock install, but it's basic. It's the same for every truck. Bilsteins went in, no problem. Moving on now, the next step, we're going to remove the skid plates and start looking at our steering stabilizer. And that was one of the problems with this truck, is the steering had all kinds of slop in it, and it pulls a little bit under braking. And come to find out, this truck has the brackets for a steering stabilizer, but there was not one on it. So I don't know, that it had that front end work done a few years ago. I have receipts for it from the original owner. I don't know if they removed the stock one because it was busted and they just forgot to put one on or what, but I got a Bilstein one matching 5100. That was $100 on Amazon. You can get them a little cheaper elsewhere, but I went ahead and got through Amazon because I could get a free 2-day shipping. And once I decided I needed it, once I discovered that it was missing, I went ahead and needed that pretty quick. So after the steering stabilizer install, the last light on the truck, well, second to last that needs to be replaced, are the fog lights. They were pretty hazy and full of moisture. And I finally broke down and bought some. There's a link to those below also. They were $50 free Amazon Prime shipping. And I thought something was wrong with them when I first got the old ones out and put them on. But they're adjustable. You can adjust the height on them, which you'll see me do here in a little bit. And I had to adjust it down. I tried to match the ones I took off, and got them lined up where they fit pretty well. And then we adjusted the height once it was actually on the bumper. It's really kind of a pain the way these mount. The 2 bolts mount from the bottom of the actual steel part of the bumper, so you have to go above the light where you can't see and try to remove 2 bolts from there. But it wasn't impossible. We got them done, and I think it really looks a lot better with all new lights now. So another thing I needed to do, I got one of these little Bluetooth code readers. I picked it up at Walmart. I needed it in a pinch. It was $50. Download the app. It is a little finicky trying to get it to connect. I've used it on 3 vehicles now, and yeah, it doesn't always work the first time, but it does work. When I hooked it up to the truck the first time, I wasn't getting any power. Apparently that's very common with these Chevys. I found some really helpful videos online. It was just a blown fuse. The OBD port is on the same fuse as the cigarette lighters, and for some reason they, yeah. But I'd already done it before I filmed this. I did have 4 saved codes on this truck. One of them, the only one that was kind of serious, was a, what did it say? Coolant temperature, I believe. So apparently it got hot at some point, and that was saved on there. So I just cleared all the codes. Nothing has come back on now. I put probably 400 miles on it since then, and yeah, no reoccurring issues. But I say if you're going to get one of these little code readers, go with the cheaper plug-in one that's corded. The app stuff is just, you can see me here struggling trying to get it to connect to the Bluetooth. Alright, day 3. Been looking for a toolbox. I've been hitting up Marketplace, trying to find something not too big because I don't need a whole lot of storage. You can see here also I got exhaust put on. We'll talk about that and hear that here in a little bit. But I found this little unit at Cabela's. It was $100. The cheapest thing I found. Toolboxes right now on Marketplace are barely cheaper than buying a new one. And I really didn't want to take up much bed space. A little bit of assembly required on this. It's kind of a pain in the butt, trying to hinge the lid, and the mounting brackets and stuff you have to drill into the bed. So, you know, it is what it is. I'm happy with the outcome of it, but putting it together was actually kind of a pain. It took me a better part of 2 hours to get all the screws in, get everything tight, get it adjusted and mounted level in the truck. And I added a couple extra supports as well because it just felt like it was going to rattle. So I did put one bolt through the bottom and through the bed floor of the truck, and then it's got the 2 brackets on the top that mount to the bed rail. I opted to put it on the driver's side on the front because I don't want to eat up a whole lot of bed space, but I want the things I do carry conveniently right there so I can just hop out, unlock it, open it, and go. Remains to be seen how watertight this is. There is a gasket made into the lid, and it's a nice solid rubber piece. It's not flimsy like styrofoam or foam insulation or anything. It is nice, but the lid flexes a little bit being pulled down by the lock. So I don't know. And everywhere I drilled a hole in it, I did come back with some rubber weather stripping basically and put underneath the bolts. So hopefully I can keep it watertight. So here you can see the finished product. I've got a few things in it. Jumper cables, a tow strap, a few bungee cords and stuff. I've got to divvy up my towing supplies, put what I want in the truck, and put my other stuff in the 4Runner. Walking around, I've got a new gadget for my camera mount. I did a couple motorized shots so you can kind of see detail of it. I think it's going to be a pretty fun thing to play with. But here's the way the exhaust sounds. Alright guys, so tallying up the numbers here, spent quite a bit this time. A lot more than I thought I did. So our totals from last time, including the price of the truck, tags and inspection, plates and all that, was $56.17.30. Listed the free items, or the items I already had. This time, $300 for the exhaust. It was actually a deal. I was quoted $4.25 to $4.50 by a couple of places. Nobody actually had the muffler in stock that I needed because the 6.0 has a dual inlet and needed a dual outlet. So this place actually had one. It was one they'd put on somebody else's truck, and they drove it for about a week, didn't like it, and took it off. Made me a deal on it, cut everything off of it, welded all new pipe on, new tips and everything for me, and it was only $300 flat out the door. I spent $25 a day for a nice detail car wash. They run it through and they wipe everything, clean the inside, clean the wheels and stuff. Toolbox was $100 at Cabela's. Pretty cheap, and I'm happy with it so far. Like I said, we'll see how that works out in the future as far as leaks go. The Bilsteins 5100s on Amazon, $286 for all 4 for that truck. I do believe they're actually a little cheaper if you have a half ton. The stabilizer was $96. The price has actually gone down. It showed it as $80 in my Amazon store, so the prices do fluctuate a little bit. I had to buy an $8 bolt at O'Reilly's for that. I had to buy a package of bolts to get one because it was missing on my truck, so I didn't have the bolt at all. The fog lights, the price has changed also. They've gone up to 57. I think it was 50 flat when I ordered it. And I did it off camera. I did it between videos, but I did finally replace the tailgate wing spoiler thing that goes on top. I had all the hardware, but the one I had was busted. It was 50 bucks, and it's actually gone up now on Amazon as well. But round 2 video, $922 is what we spent, and it brings the grand total to $6,539.30, which is still not bad. The truck drives 100 times better now with the shocks and the steering stabilizer. Just so much improved. Those were the original shocks. They did have GM part numbers on them, and yeah. It still does pull a little to the right. I'm starting to lean more towards having a warped rotor. The brakes are good on it. They stop, and there's plenty of meat left on the pads, and the rotors don't look like they've been turned. But a couple places have suggested that it may be that rotor is warped. That's why it does it slightly, and it's not nearly as bad now with the steering stabilizer. So we'll see. We'll tackle that next. It has also developed an exhaust leak. And it's on the driver's side. I can't tell if it's the actual header or at the joint at the collector, the end of the header. So that's going to be something I have to troubleshoot because it's kind of annoying. It's getting louder, and my exhaust I want to be able to hear. The exhaust does sound really great. It's just a Flowmaster. It's not the loudest. I think it's the 80 series. I don't even know. Like I said, it was a deal, and it's not annoying. It actually does not drone at highway speeds. You can't really even tell anything over stock. You hear the wind noise more than anything, and at idle and stuff it sounds fantastic. So yeah, I appreciate you guys watching and following along with all this different kind of stuff for the channel. But I've got a really good drivable truck, and I'm pretty happy with it still, and I don't regret my purchases or my updates here that we're doing. So yeah, I'll see you all on the next one. Thank you for watching.